Hello and welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. We've changed our format here at Around the Clock a little bit. We used to be an hour show. To make it a little easier for you to watch the whole thing, we've smushed it down into a half hour. So hopefully we'll still be covering the stories that you love. Of course, we'll always have our Selectmen's Update and our Around the Town tour. On today's show, we have two visitors coming to the studio. We have Jane Greenstein and then followed by Jill Verns. On our Around the Town tour, a couple of our stops will be the Ashland Public Library as with the Community Read with Mr. Jim Adams. We'll be going over to the Warren Conference Center for the Senate listening tour that happened there. And we finish up our Around the Town tour this show with a visit to the high school for the Community Committee Fair. That's it for this show. Stay with us and we'll be back for the Selectmen's Update. Ashland's town meeting is happening on Wednesday, May 3rd. It begins at 7 p.m. It is held at the Ashland High School Auditorium. Your last day to register to vote as part of the town meeting is April 13th. Welcome back to Around the Clock. It is time for our Selectmen's Update. This is from the meeting that happened on April 5th at Town Hall. It was a very long meeting. It was almost 4.5 hours. We got a lot covered, talked about a lot of different things. Let me take you through it very quickly. So we had a presentation from Barbara Casey, who is donating a bench in the memory of her brother Billy Casey, or William Casey. He was a very beloved member of our Public Works Department, and she and her family are donating a bench that will be sitting outside the Public Works Department so those people who worked with Billy can sit there and remember him. So thank you to the Casey family for that donation. We then moved into a poll hearing for a new pole that's going up on High Street Extension. We also got an update on some of the double poles and talking about how we can get some of those removed because they are definitely an eyesore. From there, we talked about the capital plan and the 2015 budget that will be coming before you, the residents, at the town meeting in May. The detail of the capital plan will be going up on the website soon. You can see the items that we're proposing, how much it will cost, how much we're doing as pay-as-you-go, meaning you pay for it as you do it, and how much we'll be doing through debt service. We then talked about a request for an outside liquor license for TJ's. Marathon Monday is coming up on Monday, April 17th, and TJ's has their annual marathon party from 7 a.m. to 2. You can go watch the race and have some fun at TJ's. We have another one-day liquor license request. This is from the ZELLS Beer Company. They are coming in and they're going to be doing some sampling also on Marathon Monday, but they're going to be down at 100 Homer Ave, the Telecron building. They're looking at possibly moving into that site, so they thought they'd come, sample some beer, and see what the response is. So if you're around and you're over 21, you can go sample some new beers for a company looking to come to Ashland. We talked about changing of some funds for the Land Stewardship Committee for Warren Woods for some lawn mowing and some haying. We also released the remaining money that was donated to the town from Green Company, who is building the project over at 466 Chestnut Street. They donated 22 ELIOT, which is the house, the old 4-H house, to the town. They also donated some funds. We've released those funds because that house is getting improved, fixing the roof, doing some exterior painting. And we'll be having a conversation soon about how we as a town can use that building for meetings and events and just really take the best advantage of that building that we have. We also voted to authorize the signing of the purchase and sale. This is two pieces of property, part of Warren Conference Center. This was voted at the town meeting back in November and previously had been voted as well. We're going to be spending $290,000. We're going to be acquiring the red barn with the silo, and then the house that's a little further down from the Warren Conference Center will be acquiring those two pieces of property. We approved our consent agenda, and one of the items on that is the Ashland Youth Baseball and Softball Annual Parade that will be happening on April 28th, as well as a few other items. We talked about The town meeting warrant, there's going to be about 21 articles on the town meeting warrant. And again, the detail for that will be up probably in about a week or two. We'll be posting and voting to post the warrant at our next meeting, which will be on April 19th. We had a very lengthy discussion about the new nuisance noise bylaw that we've been working on. This is a bylaw that will be coming before town meeting. It talks about noise as a nuisance, and there's some real detail about the types of noises, residential versus commercial districts. So when you get the chance, again, that should be up within the next week or two, so that you can review it. If you have any questions, if you'd like for town meeting, you can go to a town managers forum that is happening on April 24th, which is a Monday, and that will be at Town Hall from 6:30 to 8:30. We reviewed and approved our BAA Spring Grant Round. Because we're not getting as many funds in, we made a determination that we would only allocate 50% of the funds that we currently have. So we allocated about $22,000 in funds. If you were one of the grant writers, you should be getting information and word back from Susan Roby about the amount of your grant moving forward and how you can allocate and get those funds. We discussed the water and sewer rates and the enterprise fund budgets. So the water rates will be going up by about 2.5%, and the sewer will be going up by 5%. Total, it should be about $150 on average per family, per household for the year. That you'll see an increase. The reason we're doing the increases is we need to make sure we have enough funds in our enterprise budgets to take care of some of the operating costs, but as well as any capital projects we want to be doing. And one of those long-term will be a potentially will be a wastewater treatment plant. That is up for discussion within the community. We'd like to see, instead of sending all of our money to Framingham with their sewer, that we look at doing something here in Ashland, not only to save cost long-term, but also try to keep some of the water locally rather than sending it out. We approved a lease agreement for 6 Cherry Street. The Cherry Street, where the corner spot is going, is owned by the Affordable Housing Trust, and they created a lease, and the selectmen and the trust members have to sign it in regards to what is going to be going on there for the corner spot. So we discussed that. We also discussed and voted to sign on to the Ashland Unity Statement, and that can be found on the website ashlandisunited.org if you'd like to see what we signed on to. We got an update from our town manager regarding the town meeting warrant, so that is moving forward. A few small things, and again, as I said, that'll be supported and signed and voted to post at our April 19th meeting. We got an update about the CADILAC paint area. That is over on ELIOT Street on the eastern side of town. We have, it's going to cost about $200,000 to tear the buildings down and another $120,000 to do any other remediation that is necessary. Some of that money is going to be in our capital budget, but some of it we're going to see about getting grants to see if we can finish that, maybe make a nice park. So if you have any ideas, please reach out and let us know. Then the last thing we heard about was aggregation. So that is part of our electrical utility. We have a signed agreement where all of our electricity is at a certain rate, and it's stuck at that rate for the year. Our year is almost up, so we're investigating what we can do for next year for that electrical costs. And as I said, 11:30 was a long meeting, lots of discussion, lots of debate about the noise bylaw, about the capital project. If you want to watch the whole thing, you can go to WACA-TV and watch it there. But I'm hoping that this quick update has helped you, and thanks for watching. Ashland Town election is Tuesday, May 16th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The election is held for all precincts at the Ashland High School. Your last day to register to vote is on April 13th. The open seats for this election are Selectmen, School Committee, Planning Board, Moderator, Board of Health, Board of Assessors, Housing Authority, and Library Trustees. Hello and welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. On Around the Clock, we like to share stories of special people here in Ashland, and today we have a very special person we'd like to talk to you about. I have Jane Greenstein with me. Jane, welcome to Around the Clock.
Thank you, Yolanda.
And we are here today to talk about Elka Troutman, someone who is very special to a lot of people here in Ashland. Explain how she was special to you.
Well, Elka was a very dear friend of mine. She was my neighbor. We raised our kids together. And she had a pretty awful struggle with colorectal cancer that she was very public about, and lost her battle after 19 months last April 6th, a year ago today.
Yeah, as we're filming today, it was a year anniversary.
And so she was just a special person. You know, we all have our friends, and I could go on about why she was special to me, but she was special to Ashland because she was a tireless volunteer and worked really hard on anything that she took under her, power to do. And particularly volunteered in the schools and at the public library. She was a big reader, loved to read, and wanted kids to have that passion for reading. So she volunteered helping out run the school libraries when we lost our librarians. And she, for many, many years, she co-ran the summer reading program along with Lois McCullough, the children's librarian.
Which should, by chance, any of our viewers not know, the summer reading program is a program where it encourages kids to read through the summer, and then there's prizes and games and things like that. And you go to the library and you get something every time you go back in. And
yes.
I remember when my girls were little, it's such a great program.
Yeah, it is, and my boys loved it. And she took it over from the person who created it, and she really was a driving force for years and in making that happen. So when we knew she was dying. It was very clear that she had lost her fight. And the Friends of the Public Library and the library staff, Lois McCullough, the children's librarian, really talked about doing something to honor all the work that she'd done for literacy in kids. And they came up with the idea that we're now taking into reality. So that's what I'm here to talk about and to ask people to support us.
And what is that idea, and how can my viewers and I help you?
Great. So the vision of the Friends of the Public Library and the library staff was to have a sculpture that would be there, that would be interactive for kids to enjoy, not just to see, but to engage with on their way in and out of the library. And that it would be in honor of Elka, so that there would be a place that people, where people could actively remember her. And one of her favorite children's books, which I have a copy of, is The Story of Ferdinand by Monroe Leaf. I had not read it. Check it out. And it's about a bull that is born a little different than all the other bulls and doesn't want to fight, wants to sit quietly and smell the flowers. And his journey, it's a children's book, it's not a long journey, but his journey is how to be true to himself.
Wow,
and
what a great story for all of us.
It's an important message, right? For life in general, and seemed like a fitting way to honor Elka. Nice. So nice message, and also something that's very personal to her. So we are raising money to build, to have a bronze sculpture of a calf made. Because it kind of sparked by her favorite book and by the important message. Nice. And the sculpture will be bronze. It's being created by a wonderful artist out of Hopkinton, so local artist Michael Alfano, who we met with this morning, and just a lovely man. And he's personally crafting something for us that fits our needs, and it will be interactive. Kids can hug it, sit atop it, really engage with it.
What a wonderful idea.
Kind of like a mascot for the children's room.
So how can people donate and help get this statue and this tribute to Elka make it a reality?
Great. Well, donations of any size are welcome and appreciated. And you can either mail a check in to the Friends of the Ashland Public Library, 66 Front Street, Ashland, Mass. 01701. Or you can go online to the Friends website, which is www.friendsoftheapl, ashlandpubliclibrary.com. And there's a PayPal. You can make a donation through PayPal from the comfort of your own home. So we are looking to make those. We've already, I'm very pleased to say, we've already, in the last week, have gathered quite a nice donation pot, but we're not quite there. Yeah, we're looking to raise about $4,000 to $4,500, and we're more than halfway there, but we still really need people's support. So we thank you if you can make a donation any size and help make that a reality, and also give the kids in Ashland something to enjoy.
And to add to our lovely library.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Well, Jane, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story about Elka. I feel unfortunate that I had never known Elka, but it sounds like she was a lovely person and really cared for Ashland. So I hope we can get this statue created in her tribute.
Thank you, Yolanda.
And thanks for coming on Around the Clock.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. That's it for this segment. We'll be back with more. Ashland Town election is Tuesday, May 16th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The election is held for all precincts at the Ashland High School. Your last day to register to vote is on April 13th. The open seats for this election are Selectmen, School Committee, Planning Board, Moderator, Board of Health, Board of Assessors, Housing Authority, and Library Trustees. Hello, welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. Today we have Jill Verns with us, and we are going to be talking about the statement called Ashland United. It's a statement that we've seen and a lot of people have signed. Jill, if you would talk a little bit about more, what is the Ashland United statement?
Well, the full statement can be found at the website that was set up, called ashlandisunited.org. It's a kind of a long statement, but the first part of it really lays out some community values that we share, and the second part of it is more of a call to action, that we are pledging to take steps within our community to welcome each other, especially people who may be different from us, to stand up for other people, to model inclusive behavior for our friends and our family, and to learn from each other, you know, to really make an intentional effort to learn about other communities within our community.
Right. And what was the impetus for this whole movement almost?
Right. Well, we felt like there were already efforts in town to build community, you know, things like the farmers market or you know, events that happen at the library. Lots of community-based events.
Right.
But then there were swastikas that were found in the school a few weeks ago, and that was really our impetus to take a more focused and intentional effort to really say, you know what, that's not what our community is about.
Right.
Our community is about respecting each other and being inclusive and recognizing the differences, but then being interested in those and welcoming to people. So very quickly, several of us got together and kind of laid these thoughts out and put a statement together, and it kind of went around the community very quickly. Lots of people signed on, which was really nice to see for me. Like, at first it felt like it was just a handful of us who were expressing our thoughts to each other, and then it was really nice to see it be enveloped within the community.
Yeah, I know a number of us individually as selectmen had signed on, and that at our last meeting we actually read the statement out loud and we took a vote to support and embrace and be part of bringing that statement forward, because I think it is important. Yeah.
Right.
So, a little bit about yourself, Jill. How long have you been in Ashland? And
we have lived in Ashland for 18 years.
Okay.
We have 4 children in 4 different schools now. My youngest is in kindergarten, so I have a new one coming up through the system now.
Yeah.
My oldest is a sophomore at Keefe Tech, so we've got kind of, you know, lots of kids in different directions. And you know, one thing that I did myself was to take a more intentional effort in talking with my high school boys about being inclusive and welcoming to people of different colors or different religions. And because while I felt like I had done a pretty good job with them individually treating different people respectfully and being friends with different kinds of people, I felt like they needed to also be more intentional about seeing the bigger picture in our community, in our country, in the world, and as they get older to see those patterns of behavior and again, just be more intentional about how they treat other people when they go out.
And what is the long-term goal? Is there a long-term goal now that the statement is out there, more people are talking about it? What is your hope that will happen with this or because of it?
Right, that's an interesting question. I think we're still kind of developing kind of a longer-term vision for this. Again, it started off as a very small group effort, but one thing is that we're going to start trying to organize some community events that are specifically focused at fostering community and building bridges between people. And on May 22nd, there's a community discussion being hosted by Engage Ashland and Decisions at Every Turn and the Friends of the Public Library. It'll be at the library and it's open to the whole community.
Great.
And again, we're just hoping to sort of just start those conversations between people, you know, because that's where it all starts, is
and
reaching out.
Fortunately, here in Ashland, we have so many people who do want to be helpful and make our community better. So I want to thank you and the people that you worked with, because I know it was a group effort to get this statement out there, and we'll help publicize the event on the 22nd, because I think that's a great idea to increase and just foster that conversation in our community.
Great. Thank you, Londa. Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming on, and I enjoy sharing these kinds of stories. I think it's important. It's what Ashland is about.
Thank you.
Great, and thank you. And we'll be back with more Around the Clock. Welcome back to Around the Clock. It's time for our Around the Town tour. We have a lot of stops, a lot of different locations, so let's get started. We're going to start at 21 Main Street. It's the newest building in downtown, and we attended the ribbon cutting for Oak Realty and CPR services. They are the first business in the building, but the majority of the apartments are already rented. There is one available that is handicap accessible, and if you're interested, you can reach out to Oak Realty and they'll give you a hand with renting them. We had the opportunity to walk through the apartments, and they look to be very nice. Washer and dryer right in there, so you can check that out. Congratulations to Steve Greenberg, who owns Oak Realty, for being the first tenant and for helping get that project going. It looks great in downtown Ashland. From Oak Realty, on the same day, we went to the community center for the Rail Trail Forum. The Upper Charles Trail Committee, which is a committee appointed by the Board of Selectmen, is in the process of creating a route through Ashland that will be part of the Upper Charles Rail Trail. Now, the unfortunate or difficult thing for Ashland is we don't have any empty rail beds. Holliston does, Hopkinton has some, Framingham has some. So we sort of have to create our trail. Part of it will be going on a trail that goes off of 126 into the wetlands there. And then winding its way, trying to hit the high points downtown, the schools, into the state park, up to the MBTA road. So if you're interested, you can go to the Ashland, Mass website, find the Upper Charles Trail Committee. They will be having another forum sometime in May, so be on the lookout for that if you are interested in finding out and having some input in it. From the community center, we head to the high school. There was a hypnotist show at the Ashland High School. Always an interesting evening, and it's always interesting what they get those students to do. Our way to the Ashland Public Library. This was for the community book read led by Mr. Jim Adams. The community book read was on the book The Gift of Failure. Basically, it's how the best parents learn to let go so their children can succeed. It was by Jessica Leahy. The discussion was with Mr. Adams and a large number of community members who went to have this discussion. The author focuses on critical school years when parents need to allow to let their children learn to experience disappointment and frustration. Sometimes it's hard for parents. If you didn't get an opportunity to discuss, but you'd like to read the book, there's still some available at the Ashland Public Library. From the Ashland Public Library, we head down Pleasant Street to 60 Pleasant Street. It's a building that used to have a fence around it and now has been turned into a wonderful business. John Dudley owns the building, and we went to Divine Stoneworks. They are a granite fabricating company. You walk in and their showroom is gorgeous, and their program was part of the 4th annual Boston Design Week. The goal is to increase public awareness and appreciation of all aspects of design and to foster recognition of the vital role that design plays in all our lives. If you're looking to do any kind of counter fabrication or just want to go see what it looks like, you can go take a look. The space is beautiful. It was a big open house. There was music and food and just a beautiful showcase. Plus, you can actually see the cutting room floor where they cut the stone and the granite. So if you're looking to do any work, a real shout out to the people at Divine Stoneworks, and congratulations on being part of the Boston Design Week. From 60 Pleasant Street, we headed out to the Warren Conference Center. Huge event. It was the Senate listening tour. Our Senator, Karen Spilka, as well as about 8 or 9 other senators, as well as the chair of the Senate, Stan Rosenberg, were there to listen to the concerns of the citizens, and the citizens came from far and wide. It was not just Ashland residents, it was people from the North Shore, from the South Shore, from Western Massachusetts that came out to the Warren Conference Center. A huge shout out to the senators for coming to Ashland, and I'm pretty sure it's in a big part to Karen Spilka, our state senator. She loves to show off Ashland, and we really appreciate that. It was a full parking lot and a full room, and it was an interesting evening. So you can watch it on WACA-TV. We got to film it, so if you want to know what it was all about. We are going to, next we're going back to the library. So a lot of repeat places this time for the blood drive. This blood drive was sponsored by the Greater Ashland Lions. Those are the women in the purple shirts. If you see them walking around, it's through, again, it was at the library, and if you can, donating blood is one of the best ways to give and donate, because you know that the blood that you're giving is going to someone else who really needs it, and I know they are always looking for blood. So we have them very often here in town, so be on the lookout for it. Our last stop on this Around the Town tour brings us back to the Ashland High School. It was for the Community Committee Fair. This is a brand new event where we have brought together as many committees, volunteer groups that use volunteers here in Ashland. It was held at the Ashland High School cafeteria, and it was just an opportunity for people to come learn about different committees. They're always looking for people to help run this and organize it. I know there's been talk that we might try to move it a little bit earlier next year, so that not only will you learn about these committees, but for those committees that have seats that are on the ballot, you could maybe learn about them before those papers have to be in. Well, it was a very full Around the Town tour. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you ever have an event that you'd like included in our Around the Town tour, make sure you reach out to us here at Around the Clock. Ashland Town election is Tuesday, May 16th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The election is held for all precincts at the Ashland High School. Your last day to register to vote is on April 13th. The open seats for this election are Selectmen, School Committee, Planning Board, Moderator, Board of Health, Board of Assessors, Housing Authority, and Library Trustees. Well, That's it for this episode of Around the Clock. A very special thank you to both Jane Greenstein and Jill Verns for coming and speaking with us. Jane about the fundraiser for the art in memory of Elke Troutman, and Jill for talking about the Ashland United Statement that is currently going around. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Around the Clock. If you ever have a story or something you'd like to share, please reach out to us either at our Facebook page, Around the Clock, or here at the studios. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of your day.